Let's just start right there with that one sentence. Attraction is not truth, it is signal. What if that intense magnetic pull you feel towards someone, that thing we call chemistry, what if it isn't actually a green light to go? What if it's pointing to something else entirely? So that's what we're exploring. We're going to break down attraction not as some mysterious feeling, but as a structural system. We're looking at the hidden framework beneath why we want who we want. This is the architecture of seduction. See, most of us treat attraction like it's a compass, right? Pointing us toward our future, toward the one. But this way of looking at it says, no, it's actually more like a mirror. It's reflecting something unfinished from our past. It's not telling you where to go. It's a signal telling you where to look, inside. And this is what that looks like in real life, right? This urgent, convincing feeling pops up, and we treat it like a direct order. We chase that spark, we start performing to keep it alive, and somewhere along the way, we lose ourselves. We lose our center, and we just chalk it all up to chemistry. Okay, so to really understand that reaction, we need to look at the system it's all running on. The whole idea here is that there's this unseen architecture, a kind of skeletal framework of patterns and beliefs that's shaping our reality from deep within our own bodies. And that's the core of what we're getting into today. Now, this system is built around a really powerful metaphor, the 12 ribs. And I want you to think of these not as literal physical bones, but as these 12 foundational energetic points. They protect your heart, and they hold the codes for how you actually create your life. Each one is in charge of a different piece of your experience. And here's the really simple but powerful mechanic behind it all. Every single one of those 12 ribs can be in one of two states. It can be in a fracture state, which means there's a distortion, an energetic leak, usually connected to an old wound. Or it can be in a cohesion state, which means that part of your life is aligned, it's stable, it's sovereign. Now, we could spend all day on all 12, but for this, we are zeroing in on just one, the seduction rib. This is the piece of your architecture that governs magnetism, that feeling of attraction, and how you use your personal power with other people. So let's look at the two states of this seduction rib, side by side. When it's in a state of fracture, attraction feels kind of desperate. You mistake intense attention for a real connection. You find yourself chasing those sparks, even when you know they're destabilizing you. You trade your own discernment, your gut feeling, for that feeling of heat. But in cohesion, oh, it's a whole different reality. You attract from a place of being whole all on your own. Your own energy field acts as a filter, and it just naturally weeds out what isn't a true match for you. There's no chasing, there's no performing, and your desire, it stops being this wound that's screaming to be filled, and it becomes an actual compass, guiding you toward what will truly, deeply nourish you. To really get what this fracture feels like, we have to look at its story. See, every rib has an archetype, a character that brings the pattern to life, that shows us the lived evidence. For the seduction rib, that archetype is the masked stranger. And this is the origin story of how that fracture gets formed. The story kicks off with a feeling I bet a lot of you recognize, that dizzying electric shock of being noticed by someone you've put up on a pedestal. It's a moment just charged with this need for validation, where the desire to be chosen starts to override everything else. So picture this. The scene is a chaotic backpacker hostel, a place of temporary fleeting connections. And everything moves way too fast. The attraction isn't based on who this person actually is, not their values, not their character, not their intentions. It's pure tunnel vision. It's based entirely on the idea of them, on the story of finally getting the hot one. And this is the moment the fracture sets. It's a complete giveaway of power. A boundary is stated, clearly, more than once, but it just doesn't matter. The want for validation has led to a situation where personal sovereignty is just gone. But the true depth of the fracture, that's revealed in what happens next. It wasn't just a physical violation. It was also a material one, a robbery. And this dual violation, this double trespass, it signifies a complete and total breach of personal power, of safety, on every single level. So, after a story like that, you have to ask, what's the lesson here? How does this awful experience teach us anything about the architecture of seduction? We have to pull the core principle out of this lived evidence. Well, that story, that becomes the actual architectural blueprint for the seduction fracture. The pattern is crystal clear. It's about mistaking intense, overwhelming, maybe even chaotic attention for real safety and alignment. It's about handing over your power, your discernment, your no, hoping someone else will make you feel whole. And this brings us to the core teaching. This is the way you shift from fracture to cohesion. You stop being seduced by the story, the fantasy you're telling yourself about what that person represents, and instead, you learn to magnetize to their actual frequency. And that isn't some mystical woo-woo thing. It's about observing reality. Are they centered in themselves? Are their words and actions aligned? Can they meet you where you actually are in reality? That is sovereign magnetism. So this all comes back to you. We end by turning this whole diagnostic tool back on yourself. The next time you feel that intense, undeniable, can't live without it pull, don't just react. Don't just treat it as an instruction. Just pause and ask yourself, if this attraction isn't the truth, what is it a signal of? What unfinished business inside of me is it trying to get me to finally look at?